Two guys in their early 50s with one dream: to achieve middle-aged sporting glory. This is the Missing Links Golf Show. Pilgrims, welcome back to the Missing Links Golf Show. I am joined this evening by a very special guest co-host, Andy Walker. Welcome back to the show.
Just for something different.
Yeah.
In fact, I actually thought when you said welcome back to the Missing Links Golf Show, I actually thought you were going to go with the welcome back to the MCG.
Well,
that's where it started.
Yeah, I know. All roads lead to Richie Benno. Let's be perfectly honest. Could have done that, but didn't, because what are we? Episode 126.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
something like that.
It would have been appropriate, I think. I think, given that State of Origin next week is heading back to the MCG.
Oh, that's a good point. It's a very good point. We haven't talked about State of Origin either.
And no, we haven't. And that's where I thought it was going. I thought sort of it was heading down to the MCG and having maybe a bit of a chat about Origin. Of course, I mean, New South Wales are there 1-0 in the best of three series. And I mean, look, I think that, you know, Kalen Ponga really helped us out a fair bit in Origin 1.
Yes.
Yes. Not convinced that if he'd stayed on the field that we would be one up in the series. But look, The history books will say that he didn't stay on the field and New South Wales 1-0.
It's all true. Kalen Ponga, that was a real stinker of a tackle.
Yes, it was. It was. I mean, look, probably not as bad as Joseph Suaalii. Yeah, a couple of years back, there was sort of a reference to that tackle. And I don't think it was as bad as that, but I certainly think that he deserved a walk. I mean, it was even though it was predominantly head clash. If you look at it from a couple of angles, his shoulder also did get his head as well. So no problem with.
I feel
with what happened.
I feel like it's semantics, right? Of people talking about, was it a head clash or was it shoulder? Because let's be completely honest about this. Kalen, he made absolutely no attempt to wrap an arm in any way, shape or form in the tackle.
That is true.
And he led with a combination of head and shoulder into the collision. So if he hit him with his head, does it make it any less bad? Like, does that set the precedent that it's okay to just dive head first at the head of an opposition player? You know, like, because I'm pretty sure the NFL actually outlawed that some time ago because there were players in the NFL in the US that were actually leading with the head because they got the helmets on and can do substantial damage. Obviously, it's not a good career move the other way, but I feel like Kalen, if he hit him with his head or he hit him with his shoulder, I don't really care what the difference is between those two because it was not an attempt at a legitimate tackle. It was straight into the head. There's a lot of people that have been bleeding about the fact that it shouldn't have been a send-off. I think if it was a New South Wales player that did it to a Queenslander in that situation, it would have been a send-off every day of the week. But because it was a Queenslander, questions get asked. Now, I may be showing a little bit of state bias by those remarks.
just a bit.
But I think when you look back at some of the decisions that have been made historically in State of Origin clashes, they have a tendency of going one way. And I, for one, think, you know what, it was an absolute shocker of a tackle. I have no problem with that being a send-off at all.
Yeah. And I agree. I don't have a problem with it being a send-off. I think that, you're right. He made no attempt at actually wrapping his arm around.
Zero. And he did the same thing the following weekend to Xavier Coates in the corner to try and stop a try. led with the shoulder
right.
and the head, but he hit the football. He didn't hit Coates. He actually knocked the football out of his hands, but he launched himself with both his hands around his waist, shoulder and head first into Xavier Coates. It was just that Coates actually managed to step back inside. I think he's got a massive technique issue that he needs to fix.
Do you think maybe Billy Slater's been coaching him in that move? Because that was a classic Billy Slater move.
Where I thought you were going is, do you think if Reece Walsh was on the field that it would have been an issue? And no, I don't. If Reece Walsh was on the field, I don't think it would have been a problem because Reece likes to avoid physical contact throughout the game wherever possible. So I think he would have been completely fine. Yeah. So 1-0. Cop that, Queensland.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah. Mind you, in saying that, I am concerned about the first sort of 20 odd minutes of time with New South Wales.
That was awful.
It was terrible, and it's not the first time they've done that. They need to sort out their starts, and I'm still not convinced that that they don't miss Mitchell Moses.
You're a Parramatta fan, aren't you?
Well, it's actually, to be honest with you, I wish Mitchell Moses never played Origin because he keeps getting injured and then doesn't play for Parramatta. Yes, I'm an Eels fan and I rate Mitchell Moses. I think he's a great player, but he just gets injured. He missed the whole Origin series last year and most of the premiership year, and this year he did a hammy. I mean, for game one, and he's missed like Parramatta's last couple of games. And I mean, who knows what he's going to do for next week in game two. So I wish he didn't play Origin, but I think that his game is more suited to Origin than what Nathan Cleary's is. And the reason why is Mitchell Moses has quite a bit of unpredictability in the way he goes about it, whereas Nathan Cleary just grinds out the opposition. And grinding out the opposition doesn't work in Origin football because they're all the strongest, fittest blokes that are in the league.
It does against 12 players, though.
Well, it does against 12 players, but when there's a full complement,
no, it doesn't.
That's when he struggles.
I do agree with you. I think Moses, when he has had the number 7 jersey on his back at Origin level, has put in some fantastic performances. Got a great kicking game. Like you say, it's got that sort of electricity in attack that Cleary possibly doesn't have and maybe relies on the Penrith system a little bit too much. There's truth to that. Cleary did play well, mind you, in game one, but was allowed to play well, as we say, because he was against 12 men, so that made a massive difference. I would also say that I wouldn't play Cleary and Moses together. If I was in Laurie Daly's shoes, I wouldn't be picking 2 halfbacks and not picking a specialist number 6, because I think it leads us into problems of who's actually controlling the team around the park and who's giving the orders, and I think you run the risk of kind of having 2 number 7s. As my young bloke, funnily enough, sent an email to New South Wales Rugby League when they'd picked the side for Origin 1 and Moses and Cleary were both named. And, there was talk of who's going to be number 7, who's going to be number 6 and whatnot. So the young man wrote them a very eloquent email and said, look, let's be honest, you need to have 2 6.5s. So give them both the 6.5 jersey and see how they go, so you don't have one person in the 7 and one person in the 6. However, long-winded way of saying, I think Ethan Strange had an absolutely enormous game. And he provides the running game and the defensive starch that you might not get out of the other 2. So I was really happy, actually. Not that I was happy to see Moses injured for game 2 again, but happy to see that it looks like Strange will get a run on in game 2 as well, because I thought he had a massive game. And if he goes on and owns it, and if he has another big game and we win game 2, he's your number 6 for the next 10 years.
Yeah. So who do you go with then? Do you go with Cleary or do you go with Moses in the 7 jersey?
I think it's at the moment it's probably Cleary. for a couple of reasons. One, because of game one. He's clearly, and he got given the 7 in game one, and Moses was going to wear the 6 if he played. So he's clearly seen as the premier halfback. Probably given the number of Penrith and ex-Penrith players that you've got in the side as well, I think that leans in his favour a little bit. But it is a case of how many chances do you get to really own it? And he hasn't really done it yet. He could do it this year, and if he does, that puts the argument to bed. If he doesn't, it's still alive. Within a couple of years, it's probably going to be Isaiah Katoa anyway. Rather than either of the two that we've got at the moment, because I think he's the future. I think Katoa and Strange are your future halves. I think Kaya Weeks is your future fullback. Casey McLean's going to be a lock as one of your centres.
He had a huge game. Like he was massive when he came on for game one. I mean, he's just and look, he's a great footballer, but I sort of feel he's sort of come out of nowhere and just put in that performance and just has really owned that Origin arena, in his first run.
No, he was amazing. He was huge. I think Tolu Kola is also going to be a quality outside back, whether he's in the centres or on the wing or even at fullback in future years. He gives you a lot of options. So I think the Blues backline for the next, 5 years or so actually looks pretty good.
Yep. Yeah, look, and I agree with that. Although in saying what you said with putting Ethan Strange in rather than Mitchell Moses, I think in game one last year, Cleary and Moses worked really well together. So I don't have too much of a drama with them being 6 and 7, and with Moses being 6, because Moses is a good runner of the ball, whereas Cleary does control the game really well. So I think when you've got Cleary at 7 controlling the game and Moses not necessarily playing second fiddle, but using his running game and a kicking option as well, I think that's a really strong combination. So it's I hope he's fit for game 2, and it'll be interesting to see how they play together.
I think today he's all but ruled out.
Right. Okay. I haven't read that. But yeah, that's not surprising, but yeah. That would be a little bit disappointing, but anyway, it is. Yeah,
they may not have put the full red ink through his name, but I think it's a pretty solid red crayon.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Through the name, I don't think he pulled up well after training. So you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen, on the Missing Links Rugby League show. Oh, dear. Yeah. Once again, 13 and a half minutes in, and all we've talked about is rugby league. But it is Excellent. That time of year. We're gearing up for game 2 of one of the greatest rivalries in sport. Game 1 was a bell ringer, as we said, not without controversy. The send-off, some people think it was fair, some people don't. Doesn't really matter because, as you say, it's in the record books.
Depending on what colour you're wearing on your jersey. So that has lots to do with what perspective you've got. And the phrase "tell your story, walking champ" could easily be thrown around. See what happens in game 2, because I don't think the Maroons would have been particularly happy with that outcome. So no. And we know how much they hate playing the "I've been hard done by" card. So. Yeah, the underdog and the "we've been hard done by." That's well and truly. Give me a break. Yeah. Give me a break. So anyway, come on Blues. Let's bring it home in game 2. It'd be great to see. We haven't had a blue wash since 2000. It's been a long time. 26 years. Yeah. Way too long. Under the guidance of Joey Johns. Yeah, there should have been one. What was that year that it was one of the COVID years where New South Wales won the first 2 games, and I don't know what happened in game 3, but they just let it slip. I mean, that should have been a bit of a blue wash, but wasn't to be. It's not what the record books say. No, that's right. Because as with the golf scorecard, you don't get to draw pictures and tell stories. It is what it is. Not. So, speaking of golf scorecards,
Segue of the century, Andy Walker. Let's talk about scorecards from the Pilgrims, because we've got to go through the scores for the month of May.
Yes.
In that competition that is possibly known, some people say, the finest podcast-based amateur global competition in the universe. Some people say that.
I mean, why are we limiting ourselves to amateurs? Like, I think, we should lose the amateur bit and just say it's the greatest podcast competition in the world, not amateur.
No, it's a fair point. We have been meaning to reach out to some of the live players to offer them a lifeline, seeing what's going on in their contest. So, it's definitely a fair point that you you raise.
There's a couple of the live players aren't doing a lot at the moment,
except drinking beer and mowing lawns.
Mowing lawns, yep.
That's a story for another day.
There could be a song in that.
There could be. We'll hold that on. We'll hold on to that one, Pilgrim. Speaking of songs, though, we are going to release another epic song at the end of tonight's episode, and I'd love to hear some feedback. Pilgrims, get on the Facebook page and drop a few comments. We might be starting up the we have started the new genre of music called golf rock, but we might be starting a bit like the Billboard charts, the Missing Links Golf Show charts of golf rock genre. So we'd love to hear your thoughts on which one you like the most. Anyway, coming back to the point, the month that was, so there was some good scores, Andy Walker, that were handed in during the month of May, and some very, very good scores, is all I can say on that matter. Our rounds from the second round of the Duntry Seniors.
Does this need to be brought up again? I thought we'd moved past all of that. I mean, it was almost, in the memory banks, never to be
discussed again.
Yeah. But
you happen to know, I haven't even bothered to put those scores on the spreadsheet because they're not in the top six.
Surprisingly,
they will not be getting points. But the dice of truth is going to get a roll, ladies and gentlemen. Nice. Here it is. You can see it does have different numbers on the various sides, which is a start. We're going to start with a playoff for positions.
Do you know that little piece just there? That works really, really well in a podcast.
It does when you're videoing it, and then when you eventually edit it and you put it on YouTube, which it's not happened for some time now, but we'll get there eventually. There is a playoff for 5th and 6th, just so you know. So, and that is between Paul Sam with 36 points, and also with 36 points, Donnie the burglar from Bathurst.
So someone's going to walk away from May having 36 points and not actually scored any points in the yearly championship.
Incorrect, because this is a playoff for 5th and 6th.
Right. Okay. So at least they're in the points.
This is for 2 and 1.
Right.
Okay. So playoff time. So taking to the tee, I like to call to the tee, Paul Sam, playing par 4, as we generally do on playoff holes. It doesn't make any difference. And Paul, Paul, Andy Walker, read it and weep.
Ooh.
Double bogey.
Yeah. That's not good. It's not a good start.
No, it's not amazing. I don't think it's going to end well for Paul. So Donnie on the tee.
You snuck it in there with a bogey.
Oh,
well done, Donnie.
That is quality golf. Let me just quickly update scores. 1 point for Paul and 2 for Donnie. Wow, I hope it improves. So that was the playoff for 5th and 6th. Now, next we have got a 3-way playoff for 2nd, 3rd and 4th.
Right.
This is insane. And those scores are all 38 points.
It's good golf, isn't it? Like,
very good golf. It's very good golf. So that's James Armstrong, our friend from the UK, defending champ, who I think, if I remember rightly, was complaining about the heat and a dose of man flu during this round. Pete Powell, UK born but living in Victoria, and how good's this? Friend of the show, Glenn Ironfish Hughes.
Nice.
Who we knocked it around Country League with. So they're all on 38 points. So James Armstrong teeing it up first. Par 5. Let's say it's par 5.
Why don't we ever do a par 3?
Maybe next time. Ooh. He's made bogey.
Oh, those sixes are coming out pretty often.
It's not ideal. All right, Pete Powell, what have you got? Oh. Hang on. Just fell off the tee. He didn't actually hit it.
One.
Oh, God. Also a bogey.
Oh, wow. Okay, 3 in a row.
Okay, but see if Glenn can take the first round of the playoff. Yes, and he makes bird.
Nice.
Well done. So he finishes in second. And then we've got a playoff now for third and fourth once again. So, James, back to you.
Par 3?
Par 3, this one. And, ladies and gentlemen, first hole in one in Missing Links history.
Nice. That's going to be tough to beat.
You would think so, right? So, let's find out. This is to send it to another playoff hole. I just don't see that it's going to happen. So, Pete Powell. No. He makes double. He's obviously going for it, dunked it in the water, and hasn't really worked out from there. So, wow, that was exciting. So we've got that. Live spreadsheeting. It's one of my favourite things. All right. So that means, yes, that we've got Glenn Hughes in second place, getting 7 points to his yearly championship tally.
Nice.
We have James Armstrong in third with 5 yearly championship points, and we have Pete Powell in fourth with 3. And winning the month, I might say for the second month in a row, with 39 Stableford points, was Tim Murray out of Armidale. And I think this was something ridiculous, like 8 under par off the stick.
Nice.
So a thoroughly deserved winner.
So is he playing off +5?
He's playing off plus a lot, yeah.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. It's excellent golf.
I mean, that's pro level golf. I mean, playing off. I know that,
but it is.
I did hear at one point that Mark Leishman was playing off about +4 or +5. So if Tim's playing off about the same, that's pro level.
I think it is. I think it's extraordinary. You know what's amazing is, as a result of winning 2 in a row, Tim now takes the lead in the yearly championship by 3 points over Matty Woodbridge. So that's exciting. Tim Murray, new leader.
So the two guns in the group, are leading 1 and 2.
Now, here's the thing, right? They reckon that it's really hard for your ultra-low handicappers to win Stableford events.
Yeah.
Apparently not so in the Missing Links Golf Show. Bucking the trend. That's outstanding golf. Well played, gents. And again, if you're a first-time listener and you're not involved in this, it's a fantastic event. Just simply join our Facebook page and submit your scores and join the fun. Who knows? You too may get in a playoff with the Dice of Truth. That would be fun.
Hopefully not shoot bogey double
Yeah, that was
in
ordinary.
the first two playoff holes.
That was ordinary. So, Andy Walker, that gets us to 25 minutes in for our intro before we get on to tonight's topics, which I think is some golf that you've played recently.
Well, it's more of a, for me, it's more of a mental approach, mental game, and perspective update. I've been doing a fair bit of introspection, you could probably say, after Downtree, about how I'm going to go about golf and what I want out of it, and how I'm going to approach the game. And obviously, I want to continue on with this golf improvement journey, or pilgrimage as it would be. However, I'm also finding that, I just don't have the time to be able to dedicate to be able to make all those big swing changes that we've been talking about for the last few months. And I sort of feel as though I've been sort of listening to a couple of other podcasts and just some general stuff, and a lot of the perspective is to you need to just go out with what you have and make the best with what you have, and just try to put a score on the board as best as you can with what you've got on the day. And that sort of makes me think, well, given we've got limited time, juggling work, family, as we always talk about, is making big swing changes like I'm trying to make, is that the best way forward? Because I could potentially be doing this for months on end, and do I want to sacrifice, even playing reasonably good golf for months of being in the trough and trying to figure it all out? And I'm not convinced that that's the best way forward.
Big questions. Big questions. Only you can answer them.
So that is true. So look, my current approach that I'm there are some things that I've continued on with, like the breath work that I've been doing. So sort of 3-4 times a week, still doing the breath work after my morning exercise. So that's sort of anywhere between sort of 6 to 10 minutes of breath work. I've integrated a little bit of visualization into that as well. So just in sort of that last couple of minutes of the breath work, I'm going through some visualization. Firstly, for full shots, visualizing like being in a round of golf where I'm scoring well, and sometimes that's at my home club Coimbra, just in a club round. Sometimes, because I know the courses that I'm going to be playing in the senior amateur events over the next few months. So just trying to put myself in that situation and visualize me being in a pressure situation, trying to put a good score together, and just visualizing playing well, but also then visualizing being over those sort of 3-4 foot putts, and being confident and having the right mental approach and mental focus over those putts. And I've found that giving it some thought, and we talked about a little bit as well, that I was a bit all over the place with putting specifically, and I'd lost a little bit of confidence, and we sort of talked about that. Might have been sort of last week or the week before. So I'm trying to bring myself back to having the right mental framework to be able to stand over putts and not be positive. I don't like the term be positive, but it's more be thinking about what I want to do rather than avoiding what I don't want to do. And I was finding I was falling into that trap quite often when I was out playing in comps, and I did it a few times, or quite a few times at Downtree as well.
It's a good point. So just to jump in on the putting point, particularly the like the inside 6 footers, the ones that you kind of feel like, particularly when you're kind of getting inside 5 feet, when you go, I really should be making this putt, like probably 8 or 9 times out of 10. And when you miss a few and that doubt starts to creep in, what tends to happen, my experience at least, is you really start to fixate on the ball going in the hole and trying to steer the ball into the hole. And that's another way of saying that you really start to get mentally caught up in the outcome of the putt rather than the process of hitting the putt. Now, we've covered this on many different angles across a variety of episodes on process thinking versus outcome thinking. But I think when it's not going for you, you actually really start, you're just wanting them to start drop because you're feeling like I'm going to get more confidence the more of these putts that go in. And conversely, I'm going to lose more confidence the more of these putts that don't go in. I'm sure, as I say this, plenty of people will go, yeah, I know what you mean. The thing there was a couple of things that because I battled with this for a while and I feel like I'm in a really good place now, putting wise.
Yep.
And in particular with a lot of those shorter ones, and there was two things. One, I spent a period of time going, I'm going to not care if they go in or not. I just want to hit a solid putt and let the outcome happen. That's difficult to do in an environment where your outcome matters, like a tournament or something like that. It's easy to do in a practice round.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the other thing that I have found has worked really well is, again, sometimes on short putts, you can maybe spend less time reading the putt and committing to a line, but just trying to hit it at the hole because you feel like maybe there shouldn't be that much break. But being really, really, really certain about what line you want to hit the putt on. And then for me, it's using the line on the ball. And if that's pointing at the center of the cup or that's pointing at the right edge, left edge, outside or whatever, point it, commit to the line. And then when you're standing over the putt, the only thought is just roll the line, like roll that ball end over end on the line. So many more of them start going in. And even when you miss them, if you've rolled the ball line like end over end, you can feel okay because you've hit the putt that you want to hit. And so the outcome is less important than what it used to be, and that makes a massive difference.
Yeah. Yep. And look, that makes a lot of sense. It really does. I mean, as I said, I've been very outcome focused in recent times, and it's more and because I haven't been putting well, it's the outcome that I've been thinking about is okay, well, and it's not don't hit a bad putt, but it's trying to avoid hitting bad putts and missing putts that I should be making, rather than being focused on having the right speed and
hitting a good roll.
Hitting a good roll on the intended line that I want. Because you're right, once you've hit the putt, it's out of your hands. Like you have no control over that process once you've made the stroke. And as we know, we're playing on an imperfect surface, being grass, and you could hit the best putt in the world and get a poor, or I shouldn't say get a poor result, but not get the result that you're after. And then you could bring the ball back and hit exactly the same putt on exactly the same line, and it will go in.
Yeah. The other interesting byproduct I've found by getting better at short putts, and I've gotten better at short putts by that process, like I'm saying, is committing to the process and the line, not the outcome, and then not really caring about the outcome so much, but letting it take care of itself. So getting better results, therefore confidence increases. The other weird thing that's happened, my lag putting has improved substantially because I think I'm less worried about how far I leave it from the hole because I've got better confidence to make it from around that 6 to 8 foot range. And therefore I'm actually having less, say, 8 to 10 footers as a second putt and more 4 or 5 footers. So you're making more 2 putts, less 3 putts. Because your lag putting's improved, takes the pressure off your short putting, but it's happened because the short putting's actually improved. So it's really oxymoronic and quite strange. But it's a bit of a, and so the converse of that is often true, is when you start struggling with the short putts and the confidence drops, you probably will find your lag putting actually suffers as a result, because you're also then feeling really concerned about where you leave it.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's a bit of a vicious cycle in some respects.
Yeah, so it's interesting that you bring up the lag putting, because my next the next thing that I wanted to talk about is the practice that I'm doing on the golf course. Because for the last sort of couple of weeks, I've been going out and having practice rounds on a Saturday afternoon. And in fact, over the June long weekend, I went out on Saturday afternoon and had to practice 9 holes. Or actually, I got about 6 holes in. And then on Monday, I went out and I ended up getting about sort of 7 holes in, which is good. And during the practice rounds, I've been really focused on simulating as best as I can the comp round environment. So I'll go through the same process in the full pre-shot routine, stand behind the ball, figure out obviously what club I want to hit, what sort of shot I want to hit, develop that clear picture in my mind before I sort of take my stance, and then when I'm over the ball, trying to develop trying to have a swing feel rather than any sort of swing technique thoughts.
100%.
And I know that worked really well for me a couple of years back when I was playing really well, starting to hit it fairly consistently, is that I had a swing feel rather than any sort of technical thoughts, which again, I was sort of going back into that old process of having swing thoughts and trying to have or to achieve certain positions throughout my swing, and that ends up being too mechanical and too deliberate. Whereas I feel as though when I'm playing my best golf, while I like to be technically correct, it's more around having a swing feel and being focused more around sort of tempo and rhythm and just making a good swing. So that's been really key. And look, I've hit some great shots out in the golf course and during these practice rounds. And yeah, I still hit a couple of poor shots, but I feel as though that process has been a really positive one. And it's been a bit of an eye opener just how different I feel about golf, in simulating those comp rounds on the course, and that sort of leads me to sort of being on the green in that again. That distance control around my longer putts, I found, especially on Monday, I felt my distance control, between sort of 20 to 30 feet was really, really good, because I'd sort of spent a couple of rounds on the golf course rather than, and look, being on the practice putting green is good and you can practice distance control, but it's not the same as being out in the golf course. And when you've got all the different sort of types of putts, contours, left to right, right to left, uphill, downhill, experiencing those, and it doesn't take long to get that feel back around just and it's a lot of it's intuition. I think you just start understanding intuitively how hard you've got to hit each putt when you're standing or when you're lining up your putt and when you're standing over it. So that to me has been a little bit of a gold nugget, as well as those shorter putts, just practicing what I've been focused on during the breath work and the visualization, taking that onto the golf course and applying those same techniques and that same framework when I'm in the practice round. So that's been great over the last couple of weeks.
So you reckon that intuition on the putting green is is better than the Bryson approach of, for a 6-foot putt, I'll take the club head back 8 inches. For a 10-foot putt, it's 11 inches.
I don't understand that.
Don't
understand that at all.
It's crazy. I totally agree with you. I really do. And, also you talk about swing feels and tempo versus technique. There was a quote, I think it was, a good tempo can hide a multitude of technical flaws.
Yes.
And that was either Fred Couples or Sandy Wedge. I can't remember whose quote that was. It was one of the two. But it is true. It's absolutely true. And the other thing, to come back to your point about there's a very big difference between the practice putting green and then putting on holes out on the course when you're playing holes. And there's also a very big difference between the practice putting mat at home in the high performance centre.
Yes.
Which is good for technique, but I don't think it's good for much else. The practice putting green is better than that, but it's not the same as putting on holes out on the course. And to be honest, I think it's to do with consequence, that when you're on the practice putting green, there's no consequence to a missed putt. Even in a practice round, there's not really much consequence to a missed putt. But if you are trying to emulate some of those comp feels and keep a score, well, then there is. And so, and that makes the world of difference.
And that's what I've been trying to do in that I've been trying to keep score and actually make a score. On Saturday I played 2 balls and I played, one ball against the other, and I was trying to make a score. And then on Monday I actually took my daughter out and we went out and played in a cart. But again, I only played the 1 ball, but I was keeping score. Again, just trying to emulate that comp round feel of making a score and keeping score. So there was, and there wasn't a consequence, but there was an element of wanting to do the best that I can and just get the ball in the hole in as fewer strokes as what I can.
Yeah, but there is it's mild, but there is a consequence. You go, if I make this putt, I either make a 4. Or if I don't make it, I'll make a 5. And, and I don't get to play that hole again. I've got to move on to the next one and play the next hole. On the putting green, you can play as many games as you want. You can do you've got to sink 5 in a row or 10 in a row or whatever from around the circle and those sorts of drills, which are good. But the consequence is if I miss it, I'll just start again. It's not the same. We're always looking for drills that give you, put that pressure on your stroke. But the other thing on the putting green is you're reading the same putt all the time on the same green, or not the same putt, but, broadly speaking, what the green's doing because you're putting around on the same green. Out on a practice round, you're playing a different green every hole. The pin's cut in a slightly different spot to what you might have done last time you played the course, even if it's your home course. So there's still a degree of problem solving and execution with consequence. And I think that's what makes that practice so much better.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. The other thing that's been a little bit of a revelation as well with my wedge play, and this is because, as you know, sort of a couple of years ago, I learned about the clock system and I was starting to use the clock system. Whereas I've moved sort of away from that full clock system, and I've more moved to just understanding how far I hit my wedges when my backswing is in certain positions. So, for instance, when my lead forearm, so my left forearm, is parallel with the ground, I've come to understand, and this is through in the high performance center, doing a lot of that sort of wedge play work with the square launch monitor. So with the 58 degree, when my left forearm is parallel with the ground, I hit it 70 meters. With the 54 degree, it's 85 meters, and with the 50 degree wedge, it's 95 meters. And then what I'm doing. That's
convenient.
Yeah, and then what I'm doing is I'm adjusting how, the feel of how far I take it back based just around that one point of taking the club back to my lead arm being parallel. So if I only need to hit, say, a 60-meter wedge and I've got a 58-degree, it's more of a feel around, okay, well, I hit it 70 meters when it's parallel, so I need to take it back, 3/4 of the way to parallel. So it's and that's been
75 degrees.
That's been a bit of bit of a revelation, more letting my feel and intuition be able to take over rather than the that Bryson type of data analysis. Okay, well, it's now 60 meters, so I've got to take it back to 38 minutes or whatever it is. It's
you're putting a toe into the Bryson realm at the moment, it sounds, with your forearm parallel sort of stuff. I'd be interested for you to video it. I don't know if you've done this, but video it and see if what you think is parallel is actually parallel.
It's more around a reference point.
Yeah, because most people swing way deeper than they think that they do on those sorts of drills. You got to give me a parallel backswing, so lead arm to parallel, and quite often it's up above the head. I'm not saying that it's that severe, but it's quite often it goes because the momentum of the club takes you a little bit further.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. However, I've practiced it a fair bit now, so I've got a reasonably good understanding of where I'm at.
And it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter because what you feel is parallel. If you can repeat that same length of swing, that's giving you the distance that you know, so you can take a bit off that. So it doesn't really matter. I'm nitpicking, but it's just funny how, like, a lot of the time people, and Bryson carries on with this all the time, like it's swing here and club plane there, and this grip here and this amount of force and lead wrist pronation and all the rest of it, and you kind of go, mate, just hit the ball. Hole's over there.
Yeah,
hit it over there.
Yeah. And there's also obviously some adjustments that you need to make if you're downwind or into the wind if you want to change your ball flight. So it's for me, still conditions, standard sort of half swing to that position where my lead arm feels like it's parallel with the ground. I know what that distance is, and I've now practiced enough to understand how far I hit it with that sort of stock standard. Now it's just around me assessing what the conditions are at the time and whether I'm 60 meters or whether I'm into the wind or whether it's downwind. And, again, depends on how hard the greens are and how much spin I'm going to get. So I can put all these factors in, but I've still got that one reference point that I can work with. And as we've talked about on a number of occasions, I've never really made a full swing with a wedge. Now I do go further back than having my lead arm parallel with the ground. I'd probably to be honest with you, I don't know where I get to with what I would consider to be my full swing with a wedge, which is more like a 3/4 swing. But I know that say my 58 degree, I would never try and hit that 90 meters, which I probably can. I'm probably capable of hitting at 90 meters if I really wanted to, but I just feel as though I don't have the control that I want with a wedge, and I'd much prefer to hit my 54 degree, which I know I can quite comfortably hit 90 meters and just swing a little bit past that parallel mark. Yeah,
there's just no need. And then when you're swinging a wedge that hard as well, like controlling spin is just not going to happen. So there's no value in doing that. I don't think anyone that knows what they're doing with wedges ever hits them full out. That's crazy talk.
Yeah. So So that's sort of where I'm at from a mental framework and perspective on my golf game. So I sort of feel like I've made a pretty big shift since Duntree, more around getting back to more intuitive feel and getting out and playing more. And yeah, I'm pretty positive about where things will go over the next 2 or 3 months. So we'll see where it goes.
I think that's awesome. I think that's exactly the right path. And I think that'll be good, because, to be honest with you, your swing doesn't need wholesale changes. And I know you've talked about how you want to get something a bit more reliable to stand up under pressure. But I don't think your swing's the issue.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm not going to be competing in the Australian Open.
Hang on a minute. Now's not the time to be giving away goals, okay? It's.
Well, I mean, look. At the end of the day, look. I'd love to qualify for the Australian Open if that happens at any point. I mean, I'd need to be playing a fair bit more golf than what I'm playing at the moment, but yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to be competing to win the Australian Open. I guess was my
never
point.
Say never.
Yeah, look, I think I'm a little bit at 53 and a half. I think I'm a little bit past that time in my life.
You could take the Michael Block story to the next level.
Maybe, but unlikely. Let's just say. Yeah. So look. At the end of the day, my perspective is sort of shifted more around. All right. Well, firstly, I want to be enjoying my golf. I want to be playing. Good golf, not just decent golf. I'd love to be playing good golf again, and be in contention to be winning senior amateur events. That's sort of it for. Well, I shouldn't say that's it, but that's my goal.
That's for now,
and for now.
It's for now.
So, do I need to be making these big wholesale swing changes to be able to achieve that goal? And I think the answer is a resounding no.
I think it is. I think your plan is sensible. I like it. I think it's the way forward. Nice work.
Thanks, buddy. So that's me. So have you got any updates? You've been playing any golf or?
No. Not playing a lot of golf. We did have an outstanding weekend in Mudgee with a bunch of school dads where we had a lot of fun. And it was awesome. A weekend that was billed as not about the golf, even though we were there for golf. But it was just a 4-player Ambrose. It was good. It was good to get out. It was good just to get a bit of time to, kind of hang out with some other dads and, talk about stuff that groups of blokes need to do, need to talk about. So that was a good weekend. But look, the reality is at the moment, Pilgrims, and this is the deal, honesty hour, the family situation is tough at the moment. Obviously the health situation, for those that have been following on for some episodes now, know about the type 1 diabetes diagnosis for the young man, which, it's been huge. That's really impacted our world in every conceivable fashion. Just a reminder, I think, that there's so many things going on in people's lives that you really don't fully appreciate and fully understand. Walk a mile in someone else's shoes. I think you learn a lot about them. And for us at the moment, it has been harder to manage than we probably anticipated. The stresses of the separation during the work week with where I'm working versus where the kids are at school and those sorts of things makes time on weekends super precious. And I think at the moment, a couple of things. One, I have to honour my personal values, which is family first, and spend the time on that is necessary. And then the second thing that I probably need to do as well is cut myself some slack around not putting too much pressure on improving golf at the moment, but really focusing on getting out and enjoying it when I can, and just sort of making the most of it rather than being too fixated on is the handicap going up, going down, going sideways? What's my swing doing or anything along those lines? So I think, to be honest with you, Andy Walker, my focus in the next probably 6 months is going to be trying to get that balance right around work, family, and golf when I can, and probably setting the expectations accordingly. So there's pretty solid focus on self-care, family care, getting through a tough time, I think.
Yep. And the other thing as well, which probably is down the list a little bit, but it sort of comes up every year, is the time of year in the, we don't have daylight saving. Yeah. It's dark at 5 o'clock. The opportunity to get out there and practice after work is very, very limited. So
it is.
I think with all of the stuff that you've got going on with family, and we've had a couple of conversations about it over the past week, and it's just something that you guys have got to go through. And I said to you that I wish there was something I could do to help out, but there's not.
There's really not.
And as a mate, that's really difficult for me to for me to say, but that's just the way it is. So yeah, you're right, and I think that self-care, and we come back, and I remember having these conversations with Paul Salter as well, is that you need to look after yourself to show up as the best version of yourself, because your family needs the best version of yourself to be able to get in there and do your part, and that, again, that's got its own challenges with because you're also being relied on in your work, you're being relied on in the community and in different areas, and then you've just got this massive area of your family that's got to take the top priority.
Yeah, look, that's all true, and I think it's been it's probably been a little bit of a period of, I wouldn't call it denial or anything along those lines, but probably more like an over optimism of, we'll be able to just deal, like we'll be able to crack on and continue to operate as normal, and that'll be fine. And it's a blip on the radar, and all those kind of optimistic approaches that you take when you're faced with a bit of a life-changing scenario like what we have been. But at the end of the day, it's massive, right? Like and the thing with this is, it's not like it's never ending. It's a lifelong condition until someone comes up with a cure. So if there's any incredibly smart people out there, please have a look into it. But it's all pervasive as well. Like it's around every minute of every day, and it has inconsistent outcomes with things as well, like with blood sugar levels going up and down in ways that you don't necessarily predict. And we're getting better at it. He's on the insulin pump now for the last couple of weeks. That helps, but it's not a silver bullet. And I think I've had the realization that I just go, just slow down for a moment, release a pressure valve where it can be released, and focus on the things that are important. Everything has a season. There will be time, there will absolutely be time to focus on golf, hopefully in the not too distant future. I am still going to be playing golf. I still want to play competitive golf, don't get me wrong, but I want to do so with expectations that are, probably more appropriate than the expectations I placed on what I wanted to do at Duntree. And I look at that as an example and I go, you know what, if I could have that opportunity again and say I'm going to go shoot in the 90s for 2 days, actually at the moment I need to go, that's okay, because I'm getting out and having a go, and not actually be upset by that, but just to understand that at the moment that's probably kind of appropriate, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's totally fine. And just sort of to place the, reframe what's really important, and it's very clear what that is, and it's not golf scores.
Yeah.
It's bottom line.
Yeah. Do you feel as though maybe So I know we've talked about, maybe going to the country championships, or I know there's the ACT senior amateur that we looked at as well. There's a couple of those championships later in the year. Do you think it might be better to sort of maybe take a step back and go, all right, well, maybe something like the Mudgee weekend away with the group of dads, just as a pressure release valve, might be better rather than trying to get into that really tough competition like you will see in, say, the Country Seniors or the New South Wales Country Championships or the like?
Yeah, I do think so. Personally, I don't think I'm going to be able to put the time in to prepare and, play enough weekend comps and, practice enough to get my game where it had been to be able to go to those sorts of events and actually put in a decent showing. I think, I couldn't expect to do anything different than Duntry probably for the next 6 months. So yeah, I think something like that would be, maybe that's the right thing. So like we're making plans on the fly here, which is not ideal, but But I do think that's probably more appropriate. Yeah.
And why I bring that up is that we talk about and I had this conversation actually with Ted from Mollymook over the weekend around golf being fun, right? And I don't see. I get a lot of enjoyment and satisfaction from playing well, especially in those competitions. But when you're there, it's not fun, right? I don't see golf. Fun I see as, mucking around with the kids and, going away for the weekend and, doing all those sort of leisure activities. Golf for me is not fun. As I said, I get a lot of enjoyment and I get a lot of satisfaction out of competing. But I've also got to be, I feel as though I've got to be in a certain mindset, and I feel like I want my game to be in a certain position to be able to get away for those times and compete in the way that I want to compete. Whereas, we've gone away on golf, weekends just with a few blokes, and it's completely different. Like it's like the release valve just goes, and there's no pressure on you to play well. If you play well, great. If you don't, well, it's fine.
It doesn't matter.
You go out and have dinner and have a chat and a good night afterwards. Like it's a completely different environment.
Absolutely. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. One of the appealing things about playing competitive golf and competitive sport for that matter is because it's hard, and that satisfaction comes from doing something that's really hard, and that you've stretched yourself and you've measured yourself against others, and hopefully you give a good account of yourself and you can feel good about it, and that satisfaction, that's fun. But yeah, it's not in the moment, a laugh and a giggle and, hey, aren't we having a great time? Because you're actually really locked in and you're quite serious about things. However, the golf weekends away when, you have a few beers and there's really nothing on the line other than just bragging rights. That's a different kind of fun. But they're both fun in their own ways, but they're different kind of fun. One, you're kind of having fun as you're doing it. The other, you're enjoying the contest. And I know what you mean. It's difficult really to articulate, but I do absolutely know what you mean. I always thought when, cricket playing days that facing a genuine fast bowler was never fun. But
no.
But if you get through it and you play well, geez, it's satisfying.
Yeah, getting a very, very hard ball come at your head at 150 k's an hour.
It's not fun.
That's not fun.
It's not fun. Top edging a hook shot for 6 and watching the steam come out of his nostrils, that's kind of fun.
Fleeting, maybe.
Yeah. But the next ball's generally not fun. But you make a good point. But look, I think where it's at for me at the moment, I guess it's going, where do my priorities need to be? Where does my focus need to be? And therefore, what are some realistic expectations that I need to be talking about with where my game is at? Some things I will be focusing on, though, in the time when I'm in the high performance centre Central West out here on the, sort of 3-4 nights a week in Dubbo is going to be around using the sim, and having recently signed up with the Square on Awesome Golf and played a few holes of actual sim golf. That's fun. That much I can say is fun. That was really, really cool. So I think some more of that, I'll definitely get into that and have some stories about that. Do obviously still want to continue to play as much comp golf on the Saturday as I can, but it's just going to be inconsistent because it's going to be dictated by what's going on the home front and the needs of the family. So, look, really that's where we're at the moment. That's the honest truth.
Well, look, I mean, it's that's it. That's where you're at. You've just got to get through it as best as you can, and one foot in front of the other, and at some stage it'll get easier and refocus back on golf improvement. Yeah,
and that may happen sooner than expected. I think it's going to be one of those things where we get to a certain point and we go, you know what, we're okay with this. We're under control. But we're not there yet. So, and
you don't know what's in the future, and it could happen sooner than what you think, but it also may not as well. And that's just what you've got to be prepared for, I guess, in that it's an unknown. It's the classic, how long's a piece of string? Like, that's
the thing. That's the thing. And I guess the message is, what I'm really trying to do is to not put so much pressure on myself to have it sorted right now. But just to give it the time and the space that it needs for us to work through it. And we will. There's no doubt that we will. We'll all be, better educated, more knowledgeable, and probably stronger people for it. So, anyhow. It's a bit deep.
Hopefully,
it got deeper than we intended.
Hopefully a lot closer as a family as well.
Yeah, look, honestly, I don't think that's ever been an issue.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal, and it's got to be given the respect it deserves. So anyway, that's where we're at. Andy Walker, that was a big one.
Yeah.
Confession time.
It is. But that's life, innit? Throw some curveballs, and you've just got to deal with it as best you can.
Yeah, and we will. And in the meantime, I'm sorry if that conversation has given anyone the blues.
I like it. That's nice.
We could take that segue in a couple of ways, actually, around moods, or could even probably draw a state of origin link to that.
Oh,
just to take.
I was going to say, hopefully it won't give us the Reds.
No, never heard of,
or the Maroons.
Never heard of that genre of music anyway. But the blues exactly. I like. So whilst we muse about that, Andy Walker, have you got any words of wisdom that you want to share?
One last thing to do. Rock out, Pilgrims.
To the blues.
with hope in my shoes. First drive, found the cart path, paid my dues. Ball hit a root, then kissed the pine. Took one bad bounce and it was never mine. I got the missing links blues. I got the missing links blues. One bad roll, one bad break. I got the missing links blues, yeah. Short at the end of the day. I got the missing links blues. I got the missing links blues. One bad roll, one bad break. I got the missing links blues. Yeah. Like an old bad friend, one splash, shot later back in again. Flag looked close, but it played so mean. Now I'm chasing par like a bad routine. I got the missing links blues. I got the missing links blues. One bad roll, one bad break. I got the missing links blues.